In this video, I'm going to cover the research stage for validating your micro SaaS idea. I briefly touched upon this within the planning stage of the micro SaaS checklist, but that was from my perspective and me validating the idea. So I may have lucked out with the developer I have, but he also did some research, and I'm going to take you through this research process that he did for Magnetify. So maybe if you want to use it, you can do this as well for yourself, okay? So as you can see on the checklist, we've already gone through the planning stage. If we go down a little bit further, we have already done the marketing. And so right now, I am somewhere in this area, but like I said, my developer has done some research on his own, and I believe the reason he did this is so he could get a good idea of how to develop things on the back end and how to design things on the back end. Another important thing is when you are actually building your SaaS, some developers are probably going to ask you if you have a Figma design. They're probably going to ask you if you have the pages laid out. They're probably going to ask you about things that you have no earthly idea what they're talking about. And, you know, through this journey, I've learned so much, but this developer has actually gone through and done research on Magnetify and on competitors. So I'm going to go ahead and take you to Canva and show you exactly what everything looks like as far as the research is concerned, okay? And so he has it as the UX research. So UX, if you're not familiar with that terminology, UX stands for the user experience. And so what he's trying to do is he's trying to get a good idea of what users want to see within the app, and basically just getting a little bit more information so that way he can build confidently. And I love that. So this is something that you guys can do. You guys can do this in the planning stage of planning your micro SaaS. So I did talk about this right here as validating the idea. And this is basically what we're going through here with this research plan. So he has everything completely laid out. I actually love it. I love how organized he is. But basically, we are looking at finding people to talk to about your idea, okay? We are finding people that are in your target audience, your target market, and we're asking them questions about what they would like to see in a potential software, in a potential tool. So that way you are on the right track when you're building, and you're not building in vain, okay? So spending a lot of time, spending a lot of money. In my case, it's a lot of not only time, but it's a lot of money as well, since I'm having to pay a developer to do this. So what he has here, basically, the goal is to understand the experience of digital marketers and attracting leads. So that's what Magnetify is all about. But he came up with some research questions that he wanted to ask these people that he is interviewing, or he was interviewing. And this is something that you could do. So the way you could do this is that you could set up a call with 5 to 10 people, just meet with them on Zoom for about 10 to 15 minutes, ask questions that apply to your software and your micro SaaS, and just get some ideas to see if you're on the right track. So what is it that people actually want? So as you can see here, these research questions are going to be highly customizable for your own business. But basically, he's asking the primary goals when they're trying to generate leads, what type of lead magnet people decide on when they're trying to do a lead magnet that's going to appeal to their target audience. How do users currently balance lead magnet creation with other marketing tasks? What support or resources do digital marketers expect from a tool? And how important is customization in lead magnet tools? And what limitations do users face with customization? So make sure you have about 5 or 6 questions, just really based upon what you are trying to build your micro SaaS on, okay? And so basically what he did is he had sessions with people, and he spoke with people for 15 minutes on Zoom and just asked their information, just asked for their insight. So he basically told everybody that, you know, this is just for research purposes. There are no wrong answers. Please just go ahead and answer how you feel. Be free to ask any kind of questions you may have about the potential product and, you know, what exactly you are looking for, okay? So basically, he had a range of questions here. Just generalized information, you guys. Like I said, you got to figure out your target market. You got to figure out where these people are in terms of potentially using your tools. So the basic questions, where are you at? How long have you been in business? What type of work do you do? If you're doing lead generation for clients, what are you looking for? Just generalized information about your micro SaaS, okay? So I'm not going to read through all of these questions. You guys can just take a look at the questions here. But this way you can, develop something on your own that is useful for your business. Okay, so next up, we went into the personas. And so after he gathered all the information from asking questions and interviewing people, he came up with specific personas and what exactly these people are looking for in their tool, okay? And basically, I know that Magnetify is on the right track for what it's going to do and what it can potentially do to help other businesses. But what I did not know and I did not understand at the time is me speaking to other people. I guess my pool is maybe a little small. I didn't get different ideas, basically. And so these personas and speaking to people can give you different ideas, not only for your MVP, but something that can be rolled out later on. So basically, my idea for Magnetify has already been validated. So basically, what he's trying to do is figure out the UX, basically, but he's also looking at what other potential features could Magnetify have in the future that I may not have thought of, okay? And he did a really good job considering the fact that, when he laid everything out in this report, there are some things that came out that I never even thought about, right? Never even thought about that I could potentially add to Magnetify in another version, in a future version. So basically, after you get all your research done, come up with your persona and what exactly they're looking for. So as you can see that, I'm like super impressed. I keep saying that, but I'm super impressed. So basically the goals with what this person is looking for in a potential lead magnet software. And he was also looking at frustrations, frustrations maybe from other competitors that they have actually used. So like right here, we have poor notification, rigid features, platforms that offer basic magnets or lead magnets at high prices. So maybe they are out of touch with reality with their prices. So I understand that. And then right down here, he just gave a summary of basically the interview and, what this person does, what they're looking for, and, the cons and frustrations that they have about current softwares and things that they're using right now, right? So he did this for 2 people, and these 2 people had very different viewpoints, and I appreciate that. And so this is why you want to talk to more than one person, right? This is why you want to get input from other people besides yourself, because, you in your head may think everything is great, but then when you start talking to people, you're like, okay, maybe it's not. Maybe I'm not on the right track. Or like in this case, yeah, I know I'm on the right track, but yeah, I can go ahead and add things on later on after this MVP is completely up. So 2 personas here. And then another thing that he did that was really cool was he did a competitive audit report. So he was checking out competitors. And this is something that I already did. I did not have anything as formal as this in writing, but this is something I already did. I was checking out competitors, looking at their pricing, seeing what they were offering, seeing how people were sharing lead magnets and things of that nature, looking at templates. So I did all that, but he also did this as well. So it gave me a fresh perspective about, how he saw things, right? Because it's completely different than how I see things. And one of the major things was that as far as my competitors are concerned, he gave me a couple competitors that I knew of and one that I knew of, but I would not have pegged it as a competitor at all. So this may be something that you look into. I don't know. Maybe I just lucked out with my developer. I don't know if your developer will, go this length and go this route as far as doing this before they actually set out the design, but I think I kind of really did luck out with my new developer. But he went through and he did basically a SWOT analysis of, you know, different competitors, their strengths, their weaknesses, and opportunities. And so basically I was looking at the weaknesses of these competitors and looked at the opportunities that we had. And so, you know, some of this I already knew, some of it, once again, I did not know, but just looking from an outside person looking in, he was able to give me a different perspective. And so this is something that you should do too. So I would take your top three. Right here, we have 3 competitors here. Now we're looking at and comparing basically as far as research is concerned, like how these people stack up and what you can actually do better. So basically little things like the dashboard being a little cluttered or ineligible. This one here had no mobile experience, so I know it's going to be really hard to probably complete a whole lead magnet on your phone, but at least having a mobile experience as far as maybe being able to use a tablet would be good. And then this third competitor, which is really surprising, the one that I was really not thinking was a competitor at all, and he brought up some great points about why they probably are, is the unpolished UI design. Okay, and so the last thing here is coming up with a color palette. And so in the micro SaaS checklist, I do talk about that. And I actually talk about that here in the developing and testing phase, because other developers that I had interviewed prior to were asking me for all of this stuff up front. And so I had already came up with colors for the brand and also a logo. So I do have all of that for Magnetify right now, but he came up with that as far as color palette, and he did actually get the color palette similar to what I had. And so what we actually did was he came up with a color palette of what is actually going to go on the actual software itself and kind of the different hues that go along with it. You guys excuse all the blurriness here. I had to import this PDF into Canva so that way you guys could read it and I could blur things out, but excuse this because this is just double text here. But anyway, so he came up with a color palette of how this is going to work for the user interface basically. So my brand color is this color right here as far as my main color, and then we have like all systems go and, you know, stuff that I don't know, developer terms here, right? Destructive. So like if there's an error somewhere in the app that we know that we're going to use red. And then of course we have the neutral tones, but the colors have already been done. And I've already talked to him about, you know, my palette. And it's really funny that my palette was actually pretty similar to what he had came up with. So I just wanted to show you guys what a research report does look like for a SaaS and how you guys could structure a research report for yourself if you actually wanted to do this prior to build out, right? There's a lot of ways that you can validate your idea. I did mention in the first video, if you want to go back and look at that, when I'm talking about validating the idea. And I think one of them is what I'm actually doing now. You can do, you know, more than one way actually. One of them is actually building a landing page and see if people actually are signing up for your wait list. I've already got people on the wait list. Once again, I'm going to tell you, if you want to get on the wait list, I'm dropping the link down below so that way you can get on the wait list and you will be one of the first beta testers for when everything launches. But you can go ahead and have a landing page. You can go ahead and start doing market research like this and interviewing people. There are so many different ways that you can do this. I'm just showing you what I've done so far and what my developer is working on the back end for me, so I can be as transparent as possible during this process. If you want anything else regarding micro SaaS, regarding this topic or anything else, let me know down in the comments. And please remember to like the video. Please remember to subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.